From the Diary of Bill Lowie, Monday, October 26th. Today was a fairly normal day. There was a meeting of the high brass in the Arvin to step up operations against the Viet Cong. I was assigned to fly the division commander of an Arvin division to and from their meetings. The Viet Cong were unusually quiet today. Not even the usual mortar or sniper fire tonight. In Vietnam, the Viet Cong were known for their utilization of guerrilla warfare. The dense jungles of the country provided the perfect cover for ambushes, and the Viet Cong earned a reputation for being invisible fighters, hiding in the thick foliage, sometimes only a few yards away from American or Arvin troops, without ever being seen. This is where the phrase, "Charlie in the trees," comes from. Charlie, a nickname derived from the phonetic alphabet for the Viet Cong, VC or Victor Charlie, refers to their elusive, omnipresent nature in the jungle. U.S. and Allied soldiers would often refer to the enemy as if they were everywhere and nowhere, all at once. The Viet Cong's ability to blend into the landscape made them particularly dangerous. Even on days when things seemed unusually quiet, like in the diary entry, there was always the fear that the silence was an eerie calm before an ambush. The phrase also speaks to the psychological strain U.S. soldiers endured. Knowing that danger could lurk at any moment, often without warning, created a pervasive sense of anxiety and tension. The Viet Cong's tactic of striking from the trees, utilizing booby traps, sniper fire, or mortar attacks meant that even routine flights like those Poppy describes could carry a heightened sense of uncertainty and danger. The VC's presence in the jungles of Vietnam, however, was more than just a matter of ambushes or sniper fire. Even when they weren't engaging directly, the landscape itself became a weapon, littered with traps designed to wound, maim, and kill. This is where the quiet of days like the one Poppy describes becomes particularly unsettling. Silence wasn't a sign of safety. It could be a precursor to something much worse, as the Viet Cong were known for their deadly ingenuity in setting traps that were difficult to spot. One of the most famous were the Punji sticks, the ones that I mentioned a few episodes ago. Simple but effective, these were holes dug into the ground and filled with sharpened bamboo spikes, often coated with poison or feces to cause infection. These traps were covered with leaves or other natural materials, blending into the forest floor, waiting for unsuspecting soldiers to step into them. Once a soldier fell into one, the spikes would penetrate their feet or legs, causing gruesome injuries that were sometimes worse than outright death, because they immobilized soldiers and required others to assist them, slowing down entire units. Another common trap was the bouncing Betty, a type of mine that, when triggered, would launch into the air before detonating at waist level, scattering shrapnel in all directions. This particular bomb was designed to inflict maximum damage on infantry soldiers, ensuring that even if a group survived the initial explosion, they would be left to deal with severe injuries. The bouncing Betty, originally developed by Germany during World War I and further refined in World War II, was subsequently adopted and modified by various forces, including the Viet Cong, who used it as an effective anti-personnel mine during the war. Tripwire-triggered explosives were also common, rigged across paths or near areas soldiers might travel. The tripwires were often invisible or camouflaged in the thick underbrush, and once tripped, they could detonate anything from grenades to larger charges. These traps were strategically placed in areas where soldiers might feel a false sense of security, such as near their own base camps or along frequently used supply lines. The psychological toll of these booby traps was immense. Soldiers often felt as though the jungle itself was their enemy. Charlie in the trees didn't just refer to the hidden Viet Cong waiting for the ambush, but also to the hidden dangers lurking underfoot. Every step could lead to a disaster, and the knowledge that the traps were everywhere only added to the constant tension soldiers felt, even on quiet days. This type of warfare has been common in American engagement since. Just look at the use of improvised explosive devices throughout the U.S.'s War on Terror. As Poppy mentions in his diary, the Viet Cong were unusually quiet on October 26th, but that quiet could have easily pointed towards something heinous, a landscape rigged with traps and hazards, lying in wait for the next unwary soldier, or an ambush. The photo I chose for today depicts men walking away from a watery bank. What may lie hidden just below the surface of the water? Are there things on the path they are following that are deadly? What are the odds of them stepping on something dangerous? How is that making them feel? I'm Alex Lowie, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my poppy wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.